Hi everyone and welcome back to another Monday guide. As you can see, I'm not alone in the studio today. With me I have Boppus.
Yep, that's me.
Sorry, that was the cue for saying Boppus. I'm bad here. You are Boppus, that's
Yes, I am.
correct. Yeah, make yourself red as well. Do it, get everything over.
What?
Yes, okay, sorry. So for you today,
Internal
we will
jokes.
for you today we will talk about doctrines, and more specifically we will compare mobile warfare doctrine with superior firepower doctrine,
Yeah.
and in the context of a tank build. And
Yes.
at first glance that might be super obvious that mobile warfare might be the preferred choice for a
No, no,
tank
no.
build, but it's not that simple, and that's what we
No.
will try to nuance and nerd into for this episode today. And
Yeah.
this is the new format we do every second week, where we more discuss different topics like we do today, and then every second Monday we will do more deep dive nerdy things individually, like we usually do in the in-game format. So
So what Barry is saying now is that this is not nerdy stuff. This is
no,
yeah.
this is nerdy discussing stuff, and other is nerdy visual stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is more us entertaining ourselves as compared to one nerdy format. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
True.
do you want to take it off with the first topic of the day?
Yeah, because we're comparing two things. We're comparing superior firepower to mobile warfare, and I just want to set them in some kind of historical context.
Yeah,
So
what's the difference?
what's different? Mobile warfare is focused on tanks and speed and mobility, and it comes from all the lessons from the First World War, summed up by Guderian in his Achtung Panzer from
Yeah,
1937.
I was gonna say that must be the one thing that most HOI4 players actually know about the doctrines.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Achtung Panzer.
yeah.
Amazing name. So yeah, where he was actually compiling all these lessons down to some kind of blitzkrieg mobile warfare doctrine. And just a fun fact is that all German radios had tanks. No, all German tanks had radios.
I visualize someone sitting with a radio in the living room, and under the radio, like duct taped to a Panzer One in the living room or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, all German tanks had radios in
yeah,
comparison to a lot of other countries who
but
actually didn't have that.
yeah, isn't it true? Like maybe I'm taking this out of memory now, yeah, but it wasn't it like the T-34s even used like flags
Yeah,
sometimes?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
No, I don't think any Soviet tank had radio. Perhaps they had in the later
And they
stages of
must
the
have
war.
had at the end
Yeah, they
game.
should.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
But
I'm
yeah,
not.
yeah,
Yeah,
you'd be surprised
yeah,
how crap they were. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
So that's a mobile warfare focusing on speed and tank blitzkrieg compared,
breakthroughs. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, breakthroughs and superior firepower. What I have always thought is that that was like the U.S. doctrine to
Mhm.
just mass artillery and stuff into the
Oh,
battlefield.
always thought was that a cliffhanger that it was something else?
No, it's not.
Yeah. Okay. So it
No.
is the U.S. doctrine
Yeah,
of
it is
mass.
the
Okay.
U.S.
Okay.
doctrine,
Okay.
fueled by their extremely effective both military and logistical complex. I could
Yeah.
do an episode about the U.S. logistical complex because that's amazing, but that's not what we're going to talk about now.
So it's basically the doctrine: if you have more money than everyone else and more
Yeah,
industrial might than you do,
yeah,
you more barrels towards the enemy,
yeah, and a lot of ammunition.
or pointing towards the enemy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
and a lot of ammunition.
All right.
So yeah, and it's not strange that the U.S. did this because they had a industrial might compared to absolutely no other in the Second World War.
Yeah. So no historical bullets on that one, or no persons. You haven't done the research on
No
that one.
persons. I couldn't really
Okay.
find it. I tried to do some research,
Okay.
but yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
not.
I was looking forward to hear something like Bomber Harris for the UK or something like that. Some kind of reference
No, I
point.
got
Okay.
stuck about the ice cream bars in the Pacific, and then just lost myself in other stuff. So I
Yeah.
went down the wrong rabbit hole for this one.
Yeah. Okay. But
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Never mind. All right. So that's a little bit of a background then. So what we will do now is basically compare which of these two are like, is the better doctrine for a tank build.
Yeah.
And when we compare these two doctrines, we will do it to make some kind of like framing the topic at hand now. We will compare the mobile warfare, and when we talk about mobile warfare, we primarily talk about
Whoa.
right in the tree. So
Yeah.
that would be the blitzkrieg side, and then the modern blitzkrieg side
Yeah.
of the modern mobile warfare. Modern warfare. It's a, yeah, okay. And then compared to superior firepower, we then will primarily talk about right left in that
Yeah.
tree. So it's the integrated support, because that's better for supporting your armor build. And
Yeah.
then I mean, both of the bottom ones you could potentially pick, but now since we're talking about tanks, it feels like the most obvious one is to go left, so the
Yeah.
air-land battle, basically, because that's more stats for a tank, for tanks, basically. So, where do you want to start? I mean, you're the tank head here, or I
Yeah.
I focus on the bigger, cooler stuff usually. So it's up to you to talk
Yeah.
now. I'm just
The
gonna
sea
relax
tanks.
and laugh at your conclusions.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start with some stats because
Yeah.
there's a huge difference between mobile warfare and superior firepower. The first one is a breakthrough, where mobile warfare got 40% extra breakthrough for tanks, compared to superior firepower with 10% extra breakthrough for tanks. So talk about like the Achtung Panzer. Yeah.
Is that the stats on the template, or is that like the raw buffs from the tree? Like when we talk, when you say 40% more, or
Uh, What?
okay, so okay, to say it one more time. You said in the modern mobile warfare, you get how much more breakthrough?
40% extra breakthrough
Okay, okay,
compared to 10%.
all right, okay,
And that's stats on the templates. It's not a modifier
okay, yeah,
in battle.
okay.
So another positive thing with mobile warfare is that you get the blitz and breakthrough tactics earlier on. You gain more speed with modern mobile warfare. So
We're gonna say modern warfare
yeah,
all day long
this will
now.
be horrible.
Sorry, I planted it in your head now.
Yeah.
So sorry, everyone who watches this or listens to this. We're gonna say
Yeah.
it wrong all day now. So yeah.
And you get more speed with mobile warfare. And the big positive with the superior firepower is that you gain extra attack. So you get more soft attack and more the hard attack with superior firepower. I think it was 20% more soft attack and 20% almost hard attack extra from that doctrine.
You know what's really interesting is, like, I did the same comparison like you did now, but
Yeah.
I took a light armored template, so classical, you know, 2 rows of light tanks and like almost 2 rows of trucks.
Yeah.
And what I got was 21% more breakthrough compared to the other one, 21% more organization, 45% more recovery rate,
Yeah, that's good.
and 9.5% more speed. And then
Yeah.
for the soft attack, hard attack on the other doctrine, superior 5 hour, I got 23% more soft attack and 16.5 more hard attack.
Yeah, I think I got something like that, but I didn't want to just make this numbers. So
Okay,
approximately
okay.
20%.
Okay, so so this is the time where we need a jingle. We need a counting jingle now.
Yeah,
This is like, play the jingle. Okay,
yeah.
and
We
there
need to
you
find
had the
it.
jingle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but how did you get the 40% breakthrough? What kind of template did you use? Like a
I
like
don't
a
remember. I did it for like 2 weeks ago. So
okay. So conclusion is yes, that it's a lot more breakthrough.
yeah,
Let's
it's
just put it like that.
30% more breakthrough, but
Okay, yeah.
40% compared to 10. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Never
It's
mind.
more breakthrough,
Yes.
and you also get more organization with mobile warfare because you get more organization on the trucks and mechanized.
Yeah, but let's just pause it there. So what are we saying? So stats wise now, so if we just like dumb it down a little bit, so basically you have more attack stats on the superior firepower for your
Yeah.
tanks. So when you make a full template, like a typical tank template, if it's a medium light tank or whatever heavy tank,
Yeah.
you have more soft attack and more hard attack when you go for superior firepower, which might be surprising for some people because you usually think associated with artillery, that doctrine. But in the mobile warfare, you have more breakthrough, speed,
Recovery
organization,
rate.
and recovery rate.
Yeah. And
That's what
earlier doctrine, tactics.
Earlier tactics.
Yeah.
So you get the good tactics earlier in the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But okay.
So we have attack versus everything else.
Attack versus everything else.
Which is better?
But let's we can talk about tactics in a bit. But if we just look at the raw stats, what would you prefer, and for what purpose?
This
because now we can because it's so much to take because I have more bullets on this.
Yeah.
On the trees because we have tactics and we have spirits as well to add on top of this. But if we just start with the raw stats coming from the doctrines, what would you pick? And for
I'm going back and forth with this. I've done over the years, I would say. But to me, having attack, 20% extra attack is amazing. And you who have seen my damage videos and everything, this 4-time damage that you gain as soon as you go critical hits when you go over their breakthrough or defense with your attack stats are amazing. So these 20% extra could be that you're actually doubling your damage output against the enemy. So there's a lot coming in here. And the thing is, because I don't care that much about recovery rate and the organization, the thing that's most important to me with mobile warfare is speed.
Okay. I was gonna guess breakthrough, that would be your conclusion, but okay, speed. Why?
Because if you're gonna fight someone who has too much attack stats for you to handle, the best thing is not fighting them. Just go around. So if you have good speed and you have good supply grace and everything, which you gain from mobile warfare, if you're going to talk about spirits, that's a possibility to actually not fight the enemy, but go around him, surround him, and then be able to annihilate him. So for me, the speed stat is one of the most important things. It's not bad with breakthrough, recovery rate, absolutely not. But speed is huge.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you because usually how I think about these doctrines is like if I agree with you with the attack stats definitely because that's usually how you think about it. But the only times I really want to go for the superior firepower one is if I think that I could get above the crit, like if I could get in the crit area. So let's say, and usually when we play the multiplayer games, although we usually play on a different mod, but like the basics are the same. But then if you if you get plus 500, like if you're in the 600 soft attack, 600 hard attack kind of space, at least in that mod, then you know, okay, so this is usually above the opponent's defense stats. So then you know, okay, I'm gonna crit a lot now if you get to that. So if I can have a template where I can push myself up to those kind of levels or higher, then I would go for it. But usually, like if I kind of like if I go for I call it a ghetto tank build. so where you have something really cheap, where you just want to have like a lot of tanks in the field, like a typical light tank build, and then you might not have that much breakthrough, and you're not near critting in any way. Then I really like to go for the mobile warfare because then you're also like playing on your strengths. So light tanks, quick tanks, usually, right? You're usually not that good at breakthrough, so you add the stats you need, and then you build on the stats that you're already good at, so you kind of play on your strength. Those are the times I really like the mobile warfare doctrine. So soft attack, stacking, superior firepower, like some really like maybe heavy tanks. Honestly, like maybe that's the thing to go for superior firepower.
I think,
or they're too slow. You need some speed.
You need some speed. That was what I did in tournament. Perhaps not the best showcase of how good things can be.
All our credibility is out the window now. So
if you didn't watch it, don't watch it. No.
So what we say is that we had an epic build. We did everything perfectly, but we're just old, so we're slow on reaction.
Yeah.
That was it, right?
Yeah.
That was the
Probably.
only thing. Probably, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, if you build heavy tanks that are slow, I would say you want the extra speed. You also have a good hardness, so you can gain good tactics, the breakthrough and blitz tactic. Very easy with heavy tanks.
Yes. So where would you choose which then? So like, what do you, if you like elevator pitch it to me, just based on the raw stats?
As if I'm playing in the Eastern Front, I
Yeah.
would say that mobile warfare is really, really good because there's so much space, and especially when you play with as the Soviet Union, you want to retreat. You
Mm-hmm.
need to be able to retreat and retreat quickly. So
Mm-hmm.
having all those speed buffs are really, really important. And that's one thing I messed up on in that game because I missed a 10% speed buff.
Yeah.
But having a speed buff, so which means that you can retreat and save your tanks to fight later in the D-Day. That's
you make it sound so lame. Oh, so when you're gonna win on the Eastern Front and playing tanks, I need speed so I can retreat quickly. so,
that's the
so,
French tactic.
yeah, exactly. I was gonna say that sounds like a very French tactic.
Yeah.
Like like you build it like the driver is in the back seat looking the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
5 gears in reverse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So mobile warfare, if you would play like any kind of tank on the Eastern Front, that's what you're saying, basically.
Yeah, even with as Germany, you want to be able to quickly surround and kill Soviet troops.
Mm-hmm.
You also have the supply grace, which is really, really important in the Soviet front because it's so easy to get out of supply. So,
Okay.
yeah.
But maybe then that's the okay. So don't forget that
Yeah.
thought. But okay.
You need to have mobile warfare. You need to be somewhere where mobility actually matters.
Mm.
So defending El Alamein as the UK mobile warfare might not be the best one, but this is your home turf, so
Yeah. No, I feel like if you play in general, like if you play something soft attack oriented, maybe even hard attack, but like if you like a specialized role, so you want to be able to just crush infantry, or let's say you want to. So I see I'm lagging a bit there. So if you want to like just crush infantry somewhere, or you want to play like in the Pacific with some armor against like a Japanese player or something like that, then I think the spear firepower is like a no-brainer because you don't usually have that. I mean, you have to think about what you're facing off. So, like your argument, a lot of room for maneuver, Eastern Front, a lot of depth you can move into. Like there's strategic depth everywhere, and so speed is more like a more valuable resource.
yeah.
But when everything is tight and everything is more like concentrated and there's more infantry at stake that you're fighting, then you just want to break through and crush it as easy as possible, I suppose.
Yeah.
So then maybe the superior firepower doctrine is better.
Yeah.
Maybe regardless of how your tank build is designed.
Yeah.
But yeah. So maybe that's a good segue into the tactics phase then, because this is something that you are a bit of an expert on, the tactics, or at least
Yeah.
you done some guides on it.
Yeah, I have 2 or 3 at least.
Yeah.
The thing is that my memory is lousy, but yeah, there are 2 tactics here, and we're coming back to speed, which I think is amazing, and that's blitz and breakthrough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they give you 50% extra. What's it called? The combat speed. I think it's the term made in the tooltips.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that comes down to let's just take a quick guide about combat speed. As soon as you attack someone,
Link it here somewhere.
as soon as soon as you attack someone, you lose 66% of your speed. So you're going down to 1/3 of your speed. And then you have additives. So if you gain 50% speed, it's not 0.33 times 1.5. You gain plus 50%. So you're going up from 33% speed to 83% speed. So that
Okay.
50% buff is huge.
Yeah.
So you will almost triple your speed with just that buff. If you have
Mm.
some extra additives like mobile warfare HQ or something like that, giving you speed, you could go full speed even in battle, and that you will feel that in the map.
Yeah.
I would
Okay.
say.
Yeah. And you said that you get the good doctrines earlier in mobile warfare,
Yeah, the
and
good
then
tactics. Tactics.
and yeah, tactics, and you're referring to blitz and breakthrough.
Yeah, those are the most important to me.
And yeah, because I think that breakthrough is the last one you get in the spear firepower tree. I think
Yeah,
it's at the very bottom. But there was another thing, but you have both, like you have blitz and breakthrough in the superior firepower as well.
yeah,
So
you
so
do,
so
but it's later,
yeah, it
way
gets
later.
you get yeah, but another thing that I noticed, or two things, is that you have one more tactic in the superior firepower tree that you don't have in the mobile warfare. Is that
Yeah,
positive, or it doesn't really matter? You just need those two. Is that
the
what you're
more
saying?
doctrines you have, the less chance is that you actually choose one of those you want. So if you really want like breakthrough and blitz, you
Yeah,
want as few other possible doctrines to choose from, because this is randomized
gotcha,
and with
gotcha.
weight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'll stop talking about doctrines. I'll put a link somewhere. But yeah,
No, no,
you
no.
you
But
want
it's
as
super
few
interesting.
doctrines
Yeah,
as
yeah,
possible if you want to gain breakthrough
yeah.
and blitz.
But I noticed one more thing, and that is, and maybe this is another rate run, but I remember me nerding into this like a year ago, the tactics when we
Yeah.
discussed this for the guides, and I remember backhand blow was supposed to be super good. Am I getting that wrong, or isn't that like the amazing counter to one of these?
Is backhand blow the counter to blitz
Blitz?
then, or
Yeah,
might be the counter to
yeah.
both?
Yeah, something like that. Because I just remember that that the backhand blow was really powerful, and that one is in the mobile warfare doctrine. But you needed to be like plus level 4 on your general and blah blah blah, and all the roll chances or something like that. But I just think that that was the one. But,
Yeah,
and I think
backhand blow can counter both breakthrough and blitz.
yeah, exactly. And I think that that's the one. This is a side topic, but I think you have that one under Grand Battle Plan, Infiltration Tree, or something like that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that's like the perfect counter to the German tank build in LLMA.
yeah.
But yeah, so and to that point, Superior Firepower doesn't have backhand blow.
Ooh, I didn't think about that.
Yes,
Yeah,
so if you're playing Superior Firepower, you don't have the best tactical counter to mobile warfare,
yeah,
and that can be a big difference. But I mean, the
yeah,
kind of general you have also plays in, because that like higher your roll chance if you're higher level than opponent general and so on. So there's
yeah,
a lot of things in here, but still countering someone tactics constantly gives you such a powerful
yeah,
edge.
yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
So that's in the weight for mobile warfare. Then, if you
Yeah,
compare those two against each other, at least
yeah,
in that scenario. So if one, like if the Soviets play with one and the Germany plays with one,
yeah,
so it could be an upside if you have backhand blow in your arsenal of tactics.
yeah. The great thing while when playing the Eastern Front is that Germany might go for mobile warfare, but you
Yeah,
can have like Hungary or someone else playing tanks going for superior firepower, being that really strong backup, or the one punching through the enemy
yeah,
lines.
yeah,
Because you need to puncture to be able to utilize speed, you need to punch through. And that's why I have been switching between mobile warfare and superior firepower so many times. Because if I play a game and can't punch through, because
yeah,
I have mobile warfare, I go for superior firepower the next time, so I positive I will strike through.
yeah,
But then I lose on speed, and then
yeah.
go back and think,
And you
I
get
need to strike.
encircled, and yeah,
Yeah. So, but that's really important. If you don't have the attacks needed to break through, mobile warfare is worthless. It don't give you anything.
and then maybe that's a good segue to my other topic, or like argument for superior firepower,
Yeah.
because if you look at your, like, I know we were talking about tank builds now, but when you play, even though if you have a tank build, you might want to have infantry as well to a
What?
tank build. Yeah.
Yeah, you mean that Soviet masses you put on the
Yeah,
front lines?
those cones that you like drive
Yeah.
around
Yeah,
on the circuit.
yeah,
Yeah,
those. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So no, so if you're playing like some kind of hybrid build, or if you're playing like, okay, let's say you're playing the Soviets and you want to have like some kind of actually potent infantry somewhere as
yeah,
well, like up in Finland, to attack in the Winter War or something like that, right?
yeah,
Then you might want to get rid of the tanks for some time, and you want to use some infantry that's better in that kind of environment in the forest and so on. And then I would argue, and I haven't done the research for this now, but I would just like gut feeling argue that superior firepower is much stronger when
yeah,
it
way
comes
better.
to infantry.
Yeah,
So basically, when you play Germany, like your infantry is just cones standing still with crappy doctrines.
yeah.
Or is that exaggerating?
Nah, yeah, it's exaggerating. You can make pretty good infantry even with the mobile warfare, but it doesn't play into the strength of the infantry in any way the manner that superior firepower does.
No,
So if you have more combined force of infantry and uh,
like the
tanks,
US.
like the US, and you actually want your infantry to achieve a lot of stuff, like Marines having that extra 20% soft attack
Yeah,
landing,
exactly.
having that with every unit. If you have defensive units, I have made guides about this too, that you need have to have a lot of attack on your defensive units. Either you just make them as total cones, just winning you time, but usually you build something that can actually fire back. What?
we, we should put that on a bug. Yeah,
Yeah.
your infantry are just cones for me or
Yeah,
something. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
yeah. Org wall is now cones wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cornwall.
Okay.
Cornwall.
Cornwall. So that's what Chad should say on my mug.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying that, yeah. So to my point, superior firepower
Yeah.
is the better, like for that multi-purpose army.
Yeah,
Then you would go for a superior firepower build.
absolutely. I would say.
So
Yeah.
as okay, so let's I'm giving you three quick decisions to make,
Yes.
and I'm gonna say country, and then you're gonna say doctrine,
Yeah.
just in
Oh,
general, like
yep. Yeah, go.
for Hungary,
Superior firepower.
the UK,
Superior firepower.
Germany.
Mobile warfare.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So okay, I'll
Yeah.
do two more.
Yep.
Soviet Union.
Mobile warfare. As I
Really?
played. Yeah.
Okay. And lastly, I'd say Canada.
Canada superior firepower.
Why?
Why? Because Canada is a supporting actor, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I would with Canada, I would like to go for massive attack, going for like Amtanks, Amtrax.
Yeah.
Just multiplier stack them or
Yeah.
modifier stack them, and go for just insane stats.
So,
I played Canada with insane stats before, and that's just
but
amazing.
you said mobile warfare, right?
No, superior firepower.
Oh, sorry, you said superior
Yeah,
firepower.
superior firepower for
Oh, yeah,
Canada.
okay, so
And
you
they're
get
fighting
so you have
more.
the high soft attack and hard attack, yeah.
Yeah, and you're fighting in more closed spaces. You're gonna fight
Yeah.
in LLMA,
Yeah.
North Africa, where the operational depth aren't that big.
Yeah.
You can't do those huge.
You might
rounds.
end up in Asia.
You might end up in Asia, and even in France, the operational depth is not as big as it is in the Soviet Union.
No.
So I would say stats to just hold off the enemy tanks
No,
are
I agree.
better. Yeah.
I agree. Okay, so the last thing to this kind of comparison, or maybe I'm forgetting something, but it's also spirits.
Yeah.
That's also something that you can have
Yeah.
playing the game, and they are different depending on what doctrine you pick. So
Yeah.
you have different alternatives depending on which doctrine you pick. And for and I think that's like the obvious ones. But for superior firepower, then you get additional 5% speed, 5% coordination, and then extra chance of taking the tactic unexpected thrust as a priority.
Yeah.
And then for the obvious one for Spirit Firepower would be the Spirit gives you 5% extra breakthrough and then extra priority on suppressive barrage as a tactic.
Yeah.
So what do you take out of those two? How does that play into what we just discussed? Does that change anything for you, or is it just like that's obvious? Or
I would say the speed buff of 5%
yeah,
is really good, and especially since that comes into the combat speed as well, because I would say most players thinking their tanks are too slow, that's the combat speed really messing with you when you get a third of your speed in combat. So you
yeah,
never really push through in a good manner. So I
yeah.
would say that's bigger than the barrage things.
But could it be because I'm thinking here, you said you want to do for mobile warfare or for both, like blitz and breakthrough. That's the tactics you want to roll
Yeah,
constantly when you
yeah,
attack. Could it be that you don't want to take these spirits that gives you an extra roll chance towards one of the tactics you don't want to take all the time?
yeah. That could be
So,
a thing. I like the oh, what's it called now? Where you gain more recon.
um,
Are you in game now?
no, I'm not in game. I
Yeah,
closed it
no.
down. Yeah, I know what you're. Yeah, I know which one you mean. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So now that's a good point. You actually don't want anything that lessens your chance to gain breakthrough and blitz.
Because that's right. So basically, so if you want to roll the good tactics constantly, then you
Yeah.
should stay away from everything that puts weight on rolling the weaker ones, I
Yes.
suppose.
Yes.
So could it be worth not getting that extra 5% speed and coordination?
It's
Those are good
5%. Yeah.
stats.
Yeah. Yeah. Both are really, really good. Especially 5% extra speed. Speed stacking is when you're actually speed stacking, having quick tanks from the beginning, you can totally outmaneuver your enemy. Totally. Doesn't matter how strong they are,
I
actually.
mean, and you shouldn't underestimate the coordination either, right?
No, no, it makes you hit certain targets uh,
Better. Yeah.
better in gaining
Yeah.
more four time damage.
But I would just take this as a gut feel, but I wouldn't pick that spirit as a superior firepower one,
No,
the 5% breakthrough and suppressive barrage if I played the tank
no, no,
build, because
no.
that would make you roll the wrong doctrines most likely.
Yeah, and 5% breakthrough is not that much.
No, not when you're stacking soft attack and hard attack,
No,
because that's what you're getting at anyway. And I mean, a suppressive barrage, that's the first one in that tree. So I think it's like an extra artillery something. So soft. It's not bad, but I wouldn't. I guess that's not what I would roll constantly if I do a tank build.
no, no,
Then I
it's
would
not.
have the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So is there any other nuance that you want to add to this, Mr. Boppus? You're the tank player here, or tank player. Like I played tank. I can count on my hand how many times I've had tanks in my build. It's
Yeah.
that seldom.
Yeah, but I think you were into that a little bit, and that is how many tanks are you actually having? Are you gonna do like I did my previous game? I put like 70-80% of my factories to tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, then
And the infantry is just crap. Like
the infantry is just crap.
it's just it's supposed to delay the enemy
Yeah,
on the front line.
that was roadblocks with one anti-tank gun just
Yeah.
to stand in their ways to gain
Yeah.
some time for us to react.
Yeah.
So if you have that much tanks, I would probably that will tilt everything towards mobile warfare a
Yeah.
huge bit. If you're gonna have like take the Soviet Union again, but do a massive org wall or actual infantry build with tanks on top of that,
Mm.
20% of your factories on tanks, then superior firepower would be way better. Another thing to think about with superior firepower, actually going down the right and then left turn of the doctrine is
Yeah.
that you gain air superiority plus
Yeah.
15%.
Yeah.
So if you're having air superiority and a lot of infantry, that one in itself can do a lot for both your infantry and your tanks
No,
with
no,
modifier stacking.
but that's a very brilliant point, because in vanilla, the air superiority and ground support is crazy. It's crazy
Yeah,
powerful. Like, I mean,
that's
you could win the game with just having like fighters and actually scout planes,
yeah.
because they still give you the air support. So but
One of my best thumbnails ever, I think, was
yeah,
the tank I had. It was the same tank, but one had 50 in soft attack because of negative modifiers, and the other
yeah,
one had like 2,500
yeah,
because of positive modifiers. The same
yeah,
stats, base stats,
yeah,
and just modifier rolling it.
yeah. So,
Yeah,
and those extra doctrine, those are like just pushing those stats even more.
yeah,
So the airland battle, if you count on having like being having the upper hand in the air,
yeah,
it's a very big thing.
yeah. It can,
Yeah,
yeah, actually win you the game. We have to do one of these just talking about modifiers.
yeah,
Modifiers is, yeah, it's the base of this game.
yeah.
Everyone who thinks this is a map game or some historical game has missed the point. This is a modifier stacking game and
Yeah,
nothing
yeah,
else.
yeah. It's just a beautiful calculator. That's what it is.
Ooh yeah.
That
Ooh
sounds.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
all right. So, is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you want to bring to the table in this discussion?
I'm trying to look into my script for
Yeah.
this one, but I messed up my script just before, so I think I've gone through
Okay.
everything.
So I can just briefly touch upon something that we haven't talked about. We talked about light tanks, like medium tanks, and heavy tanks a little bit.
Yeah,
We haven't talked that much about variations, but maybe it goes without saying. Like, I'm talking about SPGs and tank destroyers,
yeah,
so self-propelled artillery, tank destroyers, and so on. Depending on if you play vanilla or if you're playing some other mods, those are better or worse. But basically, again, however you design your tanks and like what stats you prioritize in the designs, I mean, you want to amplify the strengths like of that with the doctrines as well. So
yeah,
if you count on building something with more soft attack, which probably would be like more the SPG kind of build,
yeah,
then of course superior firepower would then play into those strengths again,
yeah,
because then you're stacking towards the crit build, right? So that's the way you want to go most likely.
yeah. I have one more point,
Yeah,
so I don't
shoot.
forget
Yeah,
this,
shoot.
because there's one thing you can have too much of,
Yeah.
and that's breakthrough and defense.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, most
Very,
people.
very,
I'm not sure everyone knows this, but
oh, very good point.
yeah,
Very good
soft
point.
attack. The more attack, the more hits you will get onto your enemy.
Yeah.
Breakthrough. The only thing it does, if your breakthrough is higher than the enemy attacks, it doesn't matter if it's 20 points higher or 20,000 points higher. You will
Makes no difference.
it makes no difference. So stacking breakthrough, I've seen people having tanks with enormous amount of breakthrough,
Yeah.
like rolling around with, yeah, just ridiculous amounts and way too little attack, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So basically, what we're saying. So if the enemy, to make it simple, if you're
Yeah,
just comparing
make it
infantry, I
simple.
guess that, yeah, so soft attack versus defense, right?
Yeah,
No, sorry, no, I took the wrong one. So the attacking unit has 500 breakthrough
yeah,
and 500 soft attack, just to make an example. And the defending unit has uh, what example should we give now to make this? Yeah, 400.
that's your problem.
Yeah, yes, okay. So 500 defense and 400 soft attack. The defender has an output of 400 soft attack.
Yeah,
Then if you have 500 breakthrough as an attacker or 400 breakthrough, makes no difference
no,
whatsoever. The additional, like, so 500 breakthrough attacker, the defender have 400 soft attack, because those are the two matching.
yeah,
And if you have every surplus over 400, pointless.
yeah.
in that scenario, that
in that
specific
scenario.
scenario.
And of course, you want a little bit
yeah.
of marginal.
Yeah, with so the modifiers and everything, right?
Yeah.
But what we see sometimes, I agree, like especially when we see in the multiplayer, sometimes you have someone like stacking really good mechanized with the tanks, and that's
Yeah.
good for other purposes as well, of course,
Yeah.
with hardness and so on. But sometimes it gets ridiculous. You have 1200 breakthrough, and I mean, you're never going to use 1200
No.
breakthrough for anything. It's just waste of stats, to be honest. You could have,
Yeah.
if you could have designed it to give you more soft attack or hard attack instead, or something else.
Yeah, you should.
Much better. Yeah, you should.
Yeah. Yeah.
It gets too much.
It gets too much.
I realize something now. I have a toddler at home, and I can see that I thought I could remove all the stains that she threw at me when we had dinner, but no,
Okay.
it's still there. Yeah, maybe you can't see it.
If you just would have stayed still and not touched it, I could have put on a little black spot there to make it go away, but that was too late.
Yeah, focus on you. Make yourself red again.
Yeah. I think that's too late.
That's played over. Okay. No, that was everything I had. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching this or listening to this. I hope you liked the format. I hope you learned something new, and it gave you some nuance to a tank build, depending on what doctrines. There are 2 more doctrines that you could use for tanks as well. Maybe we'll pick them in another one. I have a new, like a flirt. I wouldn't say like a proper relationship yet, but I have a flirt with the run to the right. What is called Mass Assault.
Mass Assault, yeah.
Yes. Mass Assault left. I have a flirt with that one right now for various reasons, but it's actually nice. But I'm a Grand Bat Plan player, so
yeah,
that's my marriage in Doctrines.
If you haven't seen my supply video, which I did for very long time ago, 1.5 years or something, check it out. I used Mass Assault and a lot of other stuff. I think I pushed down supply use down to 3% or something like that.
Yeah.
The supply part is really good.
And that's the thing. I think the Mass Assault for heavy tanks especially is very nice, because they wait, like their supply consumption is so high.
Yeah.
So if you can push that down, that's like a variable you don't usually think about. But that's for another guide.
Yeah.
Or another
You're trying to wrap this up.
Yeah, I'm wrapping this up. Right.
It's done.
See you guys next time.
Yeah. Thank you.